What is up, YouTube, and welcome to this Morbius review. Now, I won't mince my words. This is possibly the worst comic book movie I think I have ever seen. Yes, worse than both Ghost Rider movies, worse than that weird 80s, 90s Captain America, worse than the Nick Fury movie, and even worse than Venom 2, which, my God, it takes some beating to beat that movie. This movie I had zero hope for, but I have an Odeon Limitless card, so it cost me nothing except my time, which arguably is more precious than anything else in this world, being a new father. However, I took 2 hours out of my day to go and see Morbius, which I was not a fan of the comics. I don't know why the marketing had been marketing him as a Marvel legend. He is a footnote on the Titan of comics, which is Marvel. But nonetheless, Sony have all of the rights to the Spider-Man movies and the characters and things like that, so they are going to make what they want. Now, of course, in the comics, Morbius turned himself into a vampire and then went on to fight Dr. Connors and Spider-Man, and he went on to, do stuff. No one really cares. It's an absolutely god-awful character that has had not a single good run in the years. You may go to bat for Morbius, but you're going to be wasting your time just like I wasted my time watching this movie. Now, I am a huge Doctor Who fan. I hope that Matt Smith would be good. Now, the lead actors, the Matt Smith and Jared Leto, are not the reason this movie sucks there. Did you get it? No. The reason this movie sucks is there's no story. So basically we have Morbius try to cure him and his best friend Milo, who's not actually called Milo, he's called Lucius, but he calls him Milo because who knows. So they try to cure their rare blood disease, which they don't tell us what the disease is, and then they part ways as Michael Morbius goes on to become a renowned scientist and work to use vampire bats to cure him and his best friend's disease. In the modern day, for some reason, Matt Smith's Milo is actually really rich, and which makes sense. He did turn up at the start of the movie in a Rolls Royce, but he's turned into a sort of douchebag, dickhead, rich kid for some reason. I don't know. The kid seemed kind of like a good kid, and then he fought back against some bullies, and then became a horrible person, a kind of drunken lout, a cad, if you will. But as we go forward, we have the international waters scene where Morbius goes on to become the living vampire. And that's pretty much the same in the comics, except he washes up. And then we have a whole mystery of people killed on the boat. The police investigate it, and he tries to come to grips with his newly formed powers. He can fly, he has echolocation. I'm not really sure how the flying works, but that's the least of the worries here. And suddenly his friend comes to find him, who funded this trip, and says, I want the cure that you've got. And then he takes it by force, and then they fight as he becomes, his friend becomes absolutely all consumed by his new powers and wants to kill people and do what he wants because, I don't know, he was repressed as a child and now he's doing what he wants. That's that. But the rest of the movie, just nothing happens. And I mean that, of course, stuff does happen. But there is no characterization. We don't understand Morbius other than the fact that he cured himself. We have a relationship with a woman, which she seems to exist just to be a woman in the fridge kind of thing, as bait for the final act. And we never really learn anything about Matt Smith other than he was a kid who's ill, he was a cad, and now he wants to kill as many people because, I don't know, he felt repressed as a child. We don't really learn much. We have a flashback and the modern day. Nothing in between, and that is that. There's no reason why Jared Hess, I can never remember his name, why he devotes his life to this absolute douchebag, and why he moved from Greece when he was working at a hospital, but that's besides the point. We never really get anything other than Morbius trying to learn that he shouldn't really have red blood, and because it turns him too powerful, and then he tries to chase his best friend, and the chase sequence probably takes about 5 seconds. He works out exactly where he is, and I have to say, the vampire transformation doesn't make any sense. Why can they make their face go vampire-like when that happens when they don't have blood? It's sort of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where the vampires made themselves go vampire-like to scare people. But that really is it. I don't really understand why this movie exists. I don't really understand what it was about, because there's not really a villain. It's really a doctor who made himself into a monster, and his friend turned into a monster, but then became even worse. It is just an absolute complete trash heap. And the final battle, if you can call it a battle, where the bats come to the aid of Michael Morbius, and he does a Kamehameha Dragon Ball Z or Naruto's Rasengan on Milo with bats, is just something else to watch. I could not stop laughing while I was watching this movie. At least Venom had some semblance of stakes. At least it had a story, a beginning and a middle and end with substance. This did have a beginning, middle and end. It's just that I don't really understand why the beginning, middle and end happened, other than the fact that you need to, push the story forward. And it was just a real paint by numbers movie. It is quite easily the most pointless movie ever made. I've seen some awful movies in my time, but this really does take the biscuit here with this. And it's a true shame, because Matt Smith is a great actor. Jared Leto, when he's not weird, he can actually be good. But here we just don't really get why this exists. Obviously, it exists so that Sony can keep themselves connected to the Spider-Man franchise. And of course, the post-credit scenes are where we see Adrian Toomes come into this world as the multiverse cracked open in No Way Home. But really, the reason people returned and came was because they knew who Peter Parker was. So Adrian Toomes knew who Peter Parker was, Spider-Man. So with that in mind, he was already where he was supposed to be. So why would he have left where he was meant to be to go back to somewhere else? But he does hire Morbius to help him fight Spider-Man. Why? Morbius is a hero, and Vulture is, well, there was like an impasse. He didn't even seem to want to join Scorpion at the end of the movie. So again, pointless cash grab crap. But that's it for this video. Do drop a like if you want, subscribe if you want. I'm going to go play some Elden Ring. Goodbye.